is sitting in at this very moment. I want to begin by thanking my colleagues for joining me here today. This is a very important issue that we're here to talk about, especially in these perilous economic times. So I'm very pleased to have them here with me to voice our concerns. We're sort of going to allow all of them that care to say what's on their minds about the actions of Attorney General Cuccinelli. But I'm going to start off with Senator Ticer, who's the chair of the Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources Committee of the Senate. Senator Ticer.
Thank you very much, Senator McEachin. Good morning. I'm happy to be here this morning. Hard to believe our ears when we heard that there was enough money to go into a lawsuit on this issue when we don't have enough money to do education and health care and mental health and all those things. So on the subject of global warming, I'd just like to begin with a quote from across the aisle, with a quote from John McCain in 2008. He said, "We have many advantages in the fight against global warming, but time is not one of them." And according to an Ernst & Young survey, the top insurance risk in 2008 was climate change. Significant for Virginia is the fact that 55% of insurance companies in the mid-Atlantic area have stopped writing new policies in Virginia's 19 coastal communities. These communities rank among the highest in the world in terms of vulnerable to sea level rise. We cannot deny the possibility of a great storm surge hitting Virginia's coastal areas, creating a nightmare scenario for evacuation efforts, such as what we saw in New Orleans. Recent reports have shown that Virginia's agricultural industry, which I'm interested in, as well as our native plant and wildlife species, face threats from changing climate. A report issued last summer showed Virginia's corn growers would lose $5 million a year annually from climate change. The implications of climate change could be disastrous to our economy. For example, with warmer temperatures comes higher salinity. When the two are combined, it creates situations that could have a devastating effect on Virginia's billion-dollar fishing industry. It would be irresponsible for us, for Virginia, not to use legislative and all available approaches to curtail greenhouse gas emissions. I thank you for your attention this morning.
Thank you, Senator Ticer. In just a moment, I'm going to call on Senator Northam, but I thought it might be good, since this is a lawsuit, to talk about a little law for just a moment. I thought it was important that we come together today because Attorney General Cuccinelli's challenge of the EPA carbon dioxide finding is misguided, as well as being a big waste of money. To start with a little bit of background, the Clean Air Act requires the EPA to set limits for air pollutants which, quote, may reasonably be anticipated to endanger public health or welfare. In 2007, in the case of Massachusetts versus the EPA, the U.S. Supreme Court found that carbon dioxide is a pollutant under the Act and required the EPA to determine if greenhouse gases, including CO2, may endanger public health or welfare. As a result, EPA has issued its finding that greenhouse gases endanger public health or welfare. In 1997, a similar attempt to avoid these kinds of regulations was attempted right here in Virginia by then Attorney General Gilmore, who challenged the EPA's authority to establish certain programs under the Clean Air Permitting Program. The AG's office lost in the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, and its petition for Supreme Court review was denied in a case known as Commonwealth versus Browner. And for those of you who are looking for a citation, that's 80 F. 3rd, 899, 4th Circuit, 1996. So surely, Attorney General Cuccinelli is familiar with this precedent and should recognize that he is engaged in a futile effort trying not only to overturn law, but settle precedent. I'll have some more comments in just a minute, but I thought it was important to get some law out there for you. Now I'd like to call on Senator, our doctor of the House, Dr. Ralph Northam, who served on the bipartisan Governor's Climate Change Committee. Senator Northam.
Thank you, Senator McEachin, and thank you all for being here this morning. It's a pleasure to stand here with my colleagues and address this very important issue. My name is Ralph Northam, and I represent the 6th Senate District, which essentially surrounds the Chesapeake Bay. The science on climate change is clear. If we do nothing to reduce carbon emissions, we will disadvantage ourselves on a number of fronts. As a member of Governor Payne's Commission on Climate Change, I had the opportunity to study the causes and effects of global warming. As a veteran, I am mindful of the warning issued in the 2007 report entitled National Security and the Threat of Climate Change, in which 11 retired 3-star and 4-star admirals and generals stated that climate change poses a serious threat to national security. I am proud to have Naval Station Northam, the largest naval base in the world, in my district, and believe that we must do all we can to make things easier, not more difficult, for our men and women in uniform. As a representative of the cities of Northam, Virginia Beach, and the counties of Accomack, Northampton, and Matthews, I want to stress to all of you how damaging the sea level rise associated with continued global warming could be to these coastal communities, especially waterfront property owners and businesses. As public servants, we have a responsibility to protect our constituents from harm imposed on them from elsewhere in society. While we are dealing with this unprecedented budget shortfall and considering budget cuts that could disproportionately affect our most vulnerable citizens, I urge the Attorney General to reconsider launching this crusade against established science and instead work with us to take on real problems of environmental justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Northam. Next, I'm going to call upon you to warn the rest of my colleagues that we're about to go to open mic, so you just step forward. I'm not going to call on you on that one. But I wanted to also ask one of the leaders in the General Assembly in the area of environmental protection, ever since he first arrived here as a member of the House of Delegates. I want to ask my good friend Albert Pollard to come forward. Delegate Pollard.
Thank you, Senator McEachin. My name is Albert Pollard. I represent the 99th House District, and that's a rural district where the farmers this past year, during the past several months, have not been able to get their tractors into the fields because it's the wettest year on record. I represent the oyster planters whose crops have been decimated because water temperatures in the bay have been rising. I guess my message to the Attorney General is very simple. There are plenty of reasons to be upset about federal overreach, but their efforts to fight pollution should not be one of them. I thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Delegate Pollard. Anyone else before we start to take questions? Anyone else? All right. Delegate McClellan, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I kind of feared this day would come when during one of the first Attorney General debates it became clear to me that our Attorney General does not believe in global warming. But you don't have to be a scientist to look at the time. You know that the polar ice caps are melting, the snow is melting on the tops of Kilimanjaro. And even though we've had 4 blizzards here in the past couple of months, that does not mean that the average temperature of the earth is not increasing. Part of why I'm here is because I would like for my child to be able to see the polar ice caps and the snow of Mount Kilimanjaro once she arrives. And I think I'd like to echo what Senator Ticer said. We're at a time when we should be focusing on jobs. And one of the opportunities we have is to create green jobs. That's where our efforts as a state should be. Not on fighting battles that have already been fought and denying science that cannot be denied. So I also would urge our Attorney General to focus on the true priorities of Virginia, which is creating jobs, take advantage of the economic development opportunity that reducing carbon emissions can create. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Pollard. All right.